Fox News alert. A Secret Service counter sniper is predicting another assassination attempt before November. In an email obtained by Real Clear Politics, a Secret Service agent with 20 years experience on the counter sniper team is announcing he's going to blow the whistle until all of his supervisors are fired. The counter sniper says his mission is to prevent another JFK-style assassination. And the only reason that hasn't happened is because they've gotten lucky. He says Secret Service leadership is corrupt and states clearly, quote, "We all should expect another assassination attempt to happen before November. We've exposed our inability to protect our leaders due to our leadership." After this email went public, it was wiped off the Secret Service servers. There's a massive cover-up underway, and it spilled over into Congress. After Cheadle resigned in disgrace, her number two got promoted and testified today that the Secret Service screwed up, but the local police, it was really all their fault.
30 seconds, if it's communicated directly to a counter sniper team, would that be enough time to react prior to the firing of those shots?
Senator, if we'd had that information, they would have been able to address it more quickly. It appears that that information was stuck or siloed in that state and local channel.
Were explicit instructions provided to cover the roof of the AGR building and locals just not follow it, or were those explicit instructions not provided?
It's my understanding what was communicated is that the locals had a plan and that they had been there before. We are looking at this, and they should have been on that roof, and the fact that they were in the building is something that I'm still trying to understand.
The Secret Service set the perimeter, established communications, didn't fly a drone, didn't put a counter sniper on the roof, and never even showed up to brief the locals. The local SWAT commander said Secret Service never told them to man that roof.
The accusation that somehow we were told that to be on the roof line, for instance, and that it was too hot. That's ridiculous. You know, our snipers are prepared to operate in western Pennsylvania from anywhere from 10 degrees below zero to 90 degrees. They were prepared to be wherever they were told by Secret Service that day.
Why did the Secret Service not want that roof covered? Why? We learned today that the Secret Service was offered a drone but turned it down. And they never even caught Crooks's drone because they had problems with their internet.
You had a drone system, but you had bandwidth problems. The bandwidth apparently was adequate for the shooter's drone, but not for the Secret Service. Can you explain that?
I have no explanation for it, sir. People fly drones all the time on the peripheries of our sites. And we go out and we talk to them and we ascertain what their intentions are. On this day in particular, because of the connectivity challenge, as you noted, there was a delay, and he flew his drone at 3:51 approximately.
You can buy a local hotspot from T-Mobile for $20. And not only that, the Biden-Harris administration spent $40 billion to wire rural America with internet.
Hey, 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 guess what day? It's the rolling mic, Mike, and Mike. Guess what? Joe Biden is running out-of-body doubles to do what Kamala will finish while Trump dodges bullets. Woo-hoo! Guess what? Everything will be okay. Guess what day? What day is it's Hump Day? Get it on, Hump Day. Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo!
I believe that this show is going to win a Grammy one of these days. We are. We're going to win a Grammy for our musical skill, which we are producing. We are now producing album level material here. All right. We're producing sea shanties for the show. We'll probably win an Oscar too for the beautiful cinematography of whatever that was. Pixar, down bad as meme creator Jerry takes the stage and will be taking all the Oscars and the Grammys. All right? Best Original Motion Picture Soundtrack, The Benny Show. Are you ready? Today, baby, today is Wednesday, July 31st, 2024. Secret Service whistleblower warns that there will be another Trump assassination in 30 days. He has 30 years experience. Maybe we should listen to him. And the Secret Service deleted that email as soon as it hit the servers. Why would they be doing that? They wanted Trump dead. I'm going to say it. They wanted Trump dead. All right, we'll just come out and say it. They wanted Trump dead. Yeah, in the absence of a better line of evidence, that's what we believe as of right now. Who is the they? Man, baby, that is the question. Kamala holds cringe rally with an equestrian trainer, I guess, a stallion. So great. I guess she's branching out. We're not exactly sure. I guess we'll figure it out. All right. We often say that Kamala Harris laughs very much like a hyena. Have no idea if hyenas and horses get along. We'll find out today. Kash Patel joins the show. Roger Marshall on the show, a senator who asked great questions yesterday in the FBI and Secret Service hearing on the Hill. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Let's jump right into it here. Was there a plot to kill President Trump? The answer to that question is going to require you to read minds and read hearts. And we don't do that on this program, all right? We're not like George W. Bush, who saw into Vladimir Putin's soul, right? Remember that quote? It's so absurd. Our leaders are so despicable and so stupid, all right? We're not here to read the hearts and minds. Like, we can't do that. We have a single superpower on this program, and that is that we are alive and we pay attention. And we can note pattern recognition. If you're alive and you pay attention, you can do the same thing we do. You can spot patterns. And here's what we're spotting. Some very dangerous patterns happening inside of the Secret Service. Cover-ups, lies, people not telling the truth about what truly happened that day, and a security plan that wouldn't have protected, I don't know, it was at a state fairground, so let's just call it the state fair. Donald Trump speaking at state fairgrounds in Butler, Pennsylvania, was so dangerously exposed to anybody who wished to do him harm. You have to take a step back and say, I don't care about what your intentions were. I'm not trying to read your mind, okay? I'm not trying to peer into your heart. I can just look at the data in front of us, the evidence available to us, and say that you wanted Trump dead. That's it. That's what we're prepared to do that. Because there is no other way that you would approve of a plan which was put forward in Butler, Pennsylvania, unless you wished harm to befall President Trump. Now, evidence off the top of the head, all right? One, and I believe we have corresponding videos actually to go along with all this, because we went to the fairground ourselves. We went there ourselves. One, why don't you put somebody up on the water tower? Just first and foremost, this is the tallest structure in the entire county. You have no overwatch. You have zero overwatch. I know this is crazy because a lot of people say there was someone on the water tower. I know there wasn't. I spoke with the people who had eyes on that water tower all day. There just wasn't. But that's not the problem. The problem is there wasn't anybody on the water. There should have been somebody on the water tower who could have seen all of this happening. Why, ladies and gentlemen, was there the capacity to walk right up to 80 yards away from President Trump? Zero security on the fence line. There was no security on this fence line 80 yards from Trump. The shooter shot the shot from 150 yards away, which is effectively end zone to end zone for a football field. That the shooter could have gotten a lot closer, actually. Could have just walked up with a cooler like a bunch of people did. And you can see there, that's right where President Trump was standing. In fact, you could have had like 50 trained shooters just walk right up to that fence line. How many cartels would like to make sure that Donald Trump doesn't breathe another breath? These just dudes who actually have training, just walk on up with your tailgate cooler. What if they had RPGs? What if it wasn't an AR-15? What if it was like explosives? What if it was a cooler full of grenades? I mean, we live in the real world here, right? We live in the real world. So many important questions. Listen, man, we stood on the ground where President Trump, this is the FBI flag where President Trump was shot. And also, of course, the major question, why wasn't the counter sniper team that was located right here able to take out Crooks as he crawled right there up that rooftop? And we know, as a matter of fact, it's because the counter sniper team decided to peace out. Somebody gave them an order. We believe in our heart of hearts that somebody gave them the order to stand down. We really think so. And we think that that's where the actual scandal lies. Now, there should have been an Overwatch team on the highest point, obviously. Anybody can tell you that. But there was a team right here with that shot. You're talking level 1 of Duck Hunt, Nintendo Genesis. Bing! Nothing. Where were those snipers? 3-man sniper team. And we heard about it yesterday inside of the Senate hearing. Shockingly, we knew more than the Secret Service acting director, Rowe. Now, we've come to learn quite a bit about Secret Service acting director Rowe. He's a partisan Democrat. He's done he's worked for Democrats on Capitol Hill. We broadcast the entire hearing yesterday, and we're going to bring you some major takeaways from that. But one of the questions at the hearing that didn't get, I think, enough questions was this, ladies and gentlemen. Why haven't you, in light of all these failures, increased your security around President Trump? This is sort of a marquee question here. And the reason why we ask it is because of our dear friend Charlie Kirk, who we actually spoke with yesterday, after we saw this tweet from Charlie Kirk up, where Charlie says, yo, listen, I run a little place called Turning Point USA, okay? And closely associated with Turning Point Action. And these are huge organizations that we are very proud on this program to go and work with and speak at and engage with all the time. Love Turning Point. Love Turning Point. Charlie Kirk says, I have hosted President Trump dozens of times over the last couple of years. Since 2017, Turning Point has hosted President Trump dozens of times. Okay? So Charlie Kirk's always backstage when President Trump walks in. In fact, in Detroit last month in Detroit, we witnessed President Trump walking in, actually, which I thought was a little odd because we didn't have any Secret Service clearance, right? Like, I thought that was a little strange. Like, we didn't have any pins or badges or anything. I had just spoken on stage. We just finished our speech, walked off, and there's some Secret Service agents. You see Donald Trump's motorcade pull in. Should I be here? Should I be here? Weird. Here's what Charlie says. It's shocking. Charlie says that we hosted President Trump Friday. That means just a couple days ago. So 5 days ago, and Charlie was with President Trump. 17 days ago, President Trump took a bullet, blew off a piece of his ear. This past weekend was the most lax I've ever experienced the security with the U.S. Secret Service. Does that put a chill down your spine? My entire staff and events team agrees. Nothing felt improved. If anything, security was more porous. No noticeable improvements since Butler. Instead, it seemed to be more laid back. I've wrestled with whether or not to voice my concerns publicly. I certainly don't want to inspire some crazy attempts or something evil. But after reviewing the text messages from Butler SWAT, hearing additional concerns from my friends Dan Bongino, Eli Crane, Corey Mills, and many more, I felt the need to say something publicly. We must keep President Trump safe. And if that's the argument, if that's to augment his detail with private security or sounding the alarm here, my firsthand experience confirms there's not nearly enough has been done and there's not nearly enough urgency. Brave and honorable agents of the Secret Service, Trump legitimately needs more manpower around him. ASAP, I hope something changes. President Trump has another rally in Pennsylvania today, in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I think this time not outdoors. ALX can check on that, but I think not outdoors. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is what Charlie has to say. That President Trump is less protected now than ever after getting shot in the head. So let's go ahead and pop right over to now the breaking news. breaking news that was brought up during the Secret Service hearing, but it was breaking at the time, and so we didn't get a chance to fully like bite it off and consume it. And now that we've been able to see it and read it, this is insane. Okay, so first off, there's an email that's sent out to the Secret Service uniformed division. These are the leaders of the Secret Service. This email is from a sniper who's done 20 years in the Secret Service and then 7 years in the Marines. So you're talking 30 years of experience holding a firearm and protecting American dignitaries in war zones all around the world. You don't get a better pedigree than this guy. Here's the email. This dude says that we're going to get Trump killed and that there's going to be another assassination attempt in 30 days. Okay, what does he know that we don't know? Let's go ahead and read. It's important, I think, to not sort of like skim the top, but like to actually read what the dude says. I've read this a couple times and hard to sleep at night, to be quite honest with you. Thank you for the backing and support. Again, this is the email that was sent to all of the leaders of the Secret Service from a sniper inside of the Secret Service, probably the most senior sniper in the Secret Service. Hard to really argue with 30 years of experience. I mean, yeah, right? Okay. I'm not stopping until 5 high-level supervisors are fired or removed from their current positions. So it seems like he knows exactly who's responsible for all this. This agency needs change. If not now, when? The next assassination attempt in 30 days? Yikes. We all should expect another attempt to happen before November. We've exposed our inability to do our jobs and protect our leaders due to our leadership. Technicians who work on the assassination attempt, 713, in Butler, Pennsylvania, did their job with their hands tied. This is really interesting. This is what we've been saying. Secret Service supervisors knew better. Foot soldiers working made their best of a bad situation that resulted in civilian death, near miss of a protectee, and our technician shooting and killing the suspect. I know that many on the counter sniper teams, as guys who sit on the roof and don't do much, but our responsibility and our mission is to stop another JFK-style assassination in whatever city that may be. Sadly, we've fallen short for years. We just got lucky, the counter snipers, but those responsible for training only to be brushed off as if those with less experience somehow knew more than me. So it seems like this guy's been warning about this for years. He says our job is not to protect an empty White House located at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Now that's very interesting. That's a shot at Biden, like being physically and mentally non-present, but who even cares about Biden anymore? Really remarkable, throwing the guy completely into the deep six trash compactor. The team I was once proud to be part of is something that I now somehow hide as I move to my next career. Who wants to hire a Secret Service counter sniper who failed? That's the public perception I am now faced with. The U.S. Secret Service counter sniper team is a stain that I will never be able to cleanse. Ew, man, that rips your heart out. Some of us take our job and responsibility deadly serious. I may be overzealous, but after 7 years in the Marines, as an NCO, and 20 years in the U.S. Secret Service counter sniper team, failure is not an option. We failed not because of our commitment and sense of dedication, because our supervisors, our leadership appointed by Joe Biden, and that will come in handy later, knew better and thought our concerns were less than important. The motto of the U.S. Secret Service, cover your ass. Holy moly. One of the best reporters out there, Susan Crabtree of Real Clear Investigations, was able to get a screenshot of this email before it was deleted promptly by the Secret Service. Secret Service went ahead and made sure that you're not allowed to send messages like this from inside of the Secret Service. So what does this say? Is this just a guy is this just a guy like venting? Or does he know something that we don't know? Does he know that there has been a mark on Trump, who's the guy with the biggest footprint in the world, right? Like, Trump is the most famous man on earth. That's really hard to argue with, right? Trump's the most famous man, mortal man walking the earth right now. That's, you really can't come at me for that. That's a direct fact. This guy has the biggest footprint of anybody who's walking right now. And the Secret Service just put a mark on him saying that we refuse to protect him. So come do your worst. We just saw in a big-time assassination the leader of Hamas in Tehran, in Iran, by presumably Israeli special forces. Iran doesn't like Trump. Iran wants to assassinate Trump. The cartels want to assassinate Trump. Democrats clearly don't like Trump, and there's video after video of Democrats saying they wish the shooter hadn't missed. This is what they're doing, ladies and gentlemen. So something wild is going on here. Something very, very bad. Maybe this guy knows something. Maybe he doesn't. We're not exactly sure. But there are some pretty scary times ahead. And things need to change immediately. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday, Marsha Blackburn asked the question, what's going on here exactly with this email? Why did you delete it? And is this, can you confirm that this actually happened? That one of your most senior agents are saying that President Trump is going to take another bullet in 30 days or less, certainly by November. Here's what Acting Director Rowe had to say.
Because a counter sniper has decided to speak out about the culture at your agency, and I think it is very telling. And he sent an email, and I'm going to quote from that. If this agency needs to change, and if not now, when? The next assassination in 30 days? But here's what I want to talk with you about, because in this email, he says, and I'm quoting again, the motto of the USSS is CYA. And every supervisor is doing it now. That's the end of his quote. So you're the guy in charge. And you're one of those supervisors. You've been a career guy there at the Secret Service. The public has lost trust in the ability to execute the mission, to protect. And I want to know how you feel about the fact that employees in your agency are worried about covering their behind and not worried about protecting a former president.
Thank you, Senator. So I'm hurt by that email, but not in the way you think I'm saying it. I'm hurt because my people are hurting right now. We need them.
Then why did somebody delete the email?
I'll get back to you on that, Senator.
The agency deleted the email.
But may I address your question?
Yes, please.
And I will get back to you as to whether
Yes.
the email was deleted or not. My agency is hurting. Emotions are raw.
My agency is hurting. I disavow what I said up front during yesterday's hearing, where I said, wow, maybe this guy, I didn't know anything about him. I said, wow, maybe this guy will take some responsibility. Record scratch. Sorry about that. Put that thing down, flip it, and reverse it. Uno, reverse card. This guy is a partisan Democrat who was directly active in the planning of the Trump rally, the deletion of Secret Service text messages before and after January 6th. He was working there during January 6th. Who knows how many hoaxes this guy's laundered. He worked for partisan Democrats from Vermont, and his name is Acting Director Rowe. Now, this guy, when pressed about the failures of the Secret Service, didn't take responsibility. He victim blamed. He said that it's the Secret Service who's actually hurting. You could hear him say that right there. Oh, wow, it's actually us. It's how embarrassing. So this guy's supposed to be a hardened law enforcement professional and supposed to be a part of the most elite protection unit in American history and world history. And he's sitting there saying our feelings are hurt because President Trump took a bullet to the head. And then he's sitting there saying in this exchange with Josh Hawley, which was the greatest exchange of the day, that the entire situation is really stressful for him and makes him, he has all the sads, and that they're being unfairly attacked, and that he doesn't want to punish anybody responsible for this. You want to know why things never change in this country? because this is the attitude of permanent Washington, D.C. Donald Trump takes a bullet to the head, and the guy responsible for those security failures sits there and claims to be the victim. It is remarkable. This is the exchange that went the most viral yesterday. It has 5 million views on our accounts alone. Josh Hawley, the senator from Missouri, finally getting to the root of the issue here. The fact that this guy is a woke, humiliating, victimhood mentality, weepy failure. And the entire Secret Service was run by these people. Go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Rowe, can you put your first poster, your first demonstrative back up?
Please put A up, please.
Let's make sure everybody can see it. This is the photograph, I believe, that you took, your team took of the roof, the AGR roof. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, so from this vantage point, as the law enforcement who are in those windows, as they look left, they should be able to see the shooter clearly there on the AGR second floor roof. My question is, why is there not a Secret Service counter sniper on that roof?
So, Senator, when we post up, our methodology is to look at things that can see in on our protectees so that they can provide that coverage.
But why is there not a Secret Service counter sniper there with clear line of sight? That roof has a clear line of sight to the former president. Why didn't you put a Secret Service counter sniper there?
The Secret Service's counter sniper role is to neutralize those threats that are looking in on us from where the protectee is, not necessarily
you think maybe you might want to revise that protocol in light of what happened here?
They were protecting the principal, and I think
the principal got shot.
Understand that, sir.
So do you think you might want to revise the protocol? Let me ask you this. Who was the lead site agent who made the decision to leave the AGR building completely outside of the security perimeter? Who was that?
Senator, I cannot give you that name. This person is operational. They're still doing investigations. They're still doing protective visits.
Have they been relieved of duty?
Senator, they have not been relieved of duty. I know their name, by the way. Why have they not been relieved of duty? They are still cooperating, not only being interviewed by the FBI, but also by our Office of Professional Responsibility. And we will let the facts of the mission assurance and any further investigations play out. Isn't the fact that a former president was shot, that a good American is dead, that other Americans were critically wounded, isn't that enough mission failure for you to say that the person who decided that that building should not be in the security perimeter probably ought to be stepped down? Senator, I think you're using the word decided, and I think we need to allow the investigation play out to include. Who did make the decision then? If it wasn't the lead site agent, who made the decision not to put that in the security perimeter? Senator, you're zeroing in on one particular agent. I want to find out exactly what was the entire decision process. So I think I want to be neutral and make sure that we get to the bottom of it and interview everybody in order to determine if there was more than one person who perhaps exercised bad judgment. Well, sure. My question is, why don't you relieve everybody of duty who made bad judgment? So, yeah, you're right. I am zeroing in on somebody. I'm trying to find somebody who's accountable here. You're telling me that the person who made the decision not to include this in the perimeter has not been relieved of duty. What about the person who's in charge of the interoperability of radio frequencies between local law enforcement and Secret Service? Has that person been relieved of duty? No, Senator, because interoperability is a challenge, is a greater challenge than just one person. On that day, we had a counterpart system. It failed spectacularly. As the person who made the decision to send Donald Trump onto stage knowing that you had a security situation, has that person been relieved of duty? No, sir, they haven't. Has the person who decided not to pull the former president off of stage when you knew that, in your words, the locals were working a serious security situation, has that person been relieved of duty? No, sir. Again, I refer you back to my original answer that we are investigating this through a mission assurance. And as opposed to zeroing in on one, what more do you need to investigate to know exactly what the decision-making process was? To know that there were critical enough failures that some individuals ought to be held accountable? I mean, what more do you need to know? What I need to know is exactly what happened, and I need my investigators to do their job. And I cannot. A lot of people didn't do their jobs. I cannot put my thumb on the scale. Otherwise, what do you mean put your thumb on the scale? You're asking me, Senator, to completely make a rush to judgment about somebody failing. I acknowledge This was a failure of the
Is it
Secret
not
Service.
prima facie that somebody has failed? A former president was shot.
Sir, this could have been our Texas school book depository. I have lost sleep over that for the last 17 days,
Then
just like you
fire
have.
somebody to
And I will
hold them
tell you,
accountable.
Senator, I will tell you, Senator, that I will not rush to judgment, that people will be held accountable, and I will do so with integrity and not rush to judgment and put people
I can't believe
unfairly
that you
persecuted.
are unfairly persecuted.
Unfairly,
We've got people
sir,
who are
we
dead.
have to be able to have a proper investigation into this, Senator.
You said earlier that you've got to make sure that your protocols are followed, and unless there's a protocol violation, people wouldn't be disciplined. I would just say to you, I don't really care that much about your protocols. I think if your protocols don't provide for the fact that when a former president is shot, when an American is killed, when other rally goers, innocent people who just showed up on the day, when they are shot at and critically wounded, if that isn't a protocol violation prima facie, you should revise your protocols.
Senator, I think this is where you and I agree. This was a failure, and we will get to the bottom of it.
Well, I hope you're going to do something about it. Let me ask you something else. The Real Clear Politics reports this morning that you were directly involved in denying additional security resources and personnel, including counter snipers, not just to this event, but over the last 2 years that President Trump's team repeatedly asked for these additional resources, and you personally were involved in denying them. Is that true?
Senator, as I stated earlier, that is not true.
So you never denied any resources to former President Trump's team?
No, not me. No, sir.
And you weren't involved in any of that? You were never involved in the decision making?
No, sir, I was not.
Let me ask you just one or two other things here quickly. Well, whistleblowers tell me that, in fact, law enforcement were stationed to be on that roof and that law enforcement abandoned their post because it was too hot. Is that accurate?
Senator, I have heard that as well. Again, they posted up inside. And I think moving forward, as I said earlier, we're going to ensure that state and local counter snipers are on roofs.
But do you know if someone was supposed to be on the roof? Do you know if someone was in fact? That's what the whistleblowers tells me. That may or may not be accurate. Do you know that to be the fact? Was somebody posted to the roof, local law enforcement or whomever?
I do not know that to be a fact.
Well, can I ask you why you don't know that?
Again, Senator, we are looking at this, and they should have been on that roof. And the fact that they were in the building is something that I'm still trying to understand.
I just want to express my frustration, Director, that 17 days or whatever it's been, that whistleblowers are telling us more than you are, and you don't know, you haven't ascertained if there was supposed to be law enforcement on the roof. That seems like a pretty basic fact. I'm also told that local law enforcement suppliers offered the Secret Service drones, and you declined them. Is that true?
So, Senator, one, I've been very transparent and forthcoming.
Your agency has not been transparent and forthcoming, so please, let's not go there.
I have been forthcoming, sir.
That remains to be seen. You've been on the job a few days. So far, you've fired nobody. Now, the drones.
Thank you,
Were
sir.
you offered drones?
Senator Hawley.
So there was an offer to fly a drone on that day.
And why did you deny it?
Again, I think the ability of local law enforcement to provide an asset, we probably should have taken them up on it if it was offered.
Oh, man. Holy moly. What a absolute salting of the earth. Fire and blazes of glory for Senator Josh Hawley, who had the best questions of the day. The best questions of the day. There are others who had amazing questions. We're going to play a clip from Ted Cruz in just a second, but let's rehearse and rehash really quickly what the senator was able to divine there. First off, the current director of the Secret Service is a victimhood coward who said there, you're persecuting me by asking me questions. I'm not going to, we're being persecuted. Did you hear him? Voice cracking, hands shaking. We're being persecuted right now. We're the victims. President Trump's not the victim. President Trump was supposed to get shot in the head. We're the victims now. And then being incapable of answering simple questions like, have you fired anybody? And guess what he says? And this is why we had to play the whole clip. Well, this is why we had to play the whole clip. There was an entire line of questioning from multiple senators that deserve for you to see the whole thing, but that's the only one we're going to play the whole thing. Here's why. Because the people who are currently, who are responsible for President Trump taking the bullet are currently and actively planning more Trump events. Do you understand how horrifying all of this is? That's the point of today's show. It's like a massive warning sign. From Charlie Kirk's anecdotal observation of Secret Service to Secret Service insiders and whistleblowers saying Trump's going to get assassinated again. They wanted the guy's head blown off on live TV. God help us. God forbid. But their intention, their hearts and their souls and their minds, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be a mind reader. You can just look at the security failures and look at what happened and put all the evidence together. Gross incompetence is indistinguishable from malevolence. If you have enough dumb people doing a bunch of dumb things, then you're going to destroy your company. They're going to burn down your house. They're going to hurt your children. Something terrible is going to happen to your dog. If you add up a bunch of gross negligence, then it will equal malevolence. Something terrible will happen. And it will be because stupid people are in charge. And so that's why we're like trying to sound the alarm here. And we've been doing a bunch of investigating ourselves on this program. We have some wild things that we will be bringing to light quite soon about all of this. We traveled to the Trump assassination kill box, we were going to call it, because that's what it was. Ted Cruz asking some great questions as well, ladies and gentlemen. Please stay tuned for our documentary that will be dropping this weekend about the Trump assassination. Ted Cruz asking about denying Trump more service and denying RFK, whose, of course, father was killed and uncle was killed when they were under Secret Service protection. Wow, interesting. I wonder if those are the same people. It wasn't that long ago that RFK was killed. Maybe people in the audience actually remember that. Of course, many people have, everybody's read about it. It wasn't long ago. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Ted Cruz, probably the second best line of questioning of the day. Listen to this.
So let me tell you what I believe. I believe that the Secret Service leadership made a political decision to deny these requests. And I think the Biden administration has been suffused with partisan politics. Did the same person who denied the request for additional security to President Trump also repeatedly deny the request for security to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., whose father was murdered by an assassin and whose uncle was murdered by an assassin? Did the same person make that decision?
Senator, what I will tell you is that Secret Service agents are not political.
Okay, you're not answering my question. But you know what? Leadership appointed by the president, leadership appointed by the president is political. I have a simple question, yes or no. Did the same person deny the Trump request that also denied the RFK request? That's a yes or no question.
Senator, that is not a yes or no question. One, there is a process for a candidate nominee to receive protection.
Does the buck stop anywhere? Does the buck stop anywhere?
Bipartisan process that the Hill participates.
It's a bicameral, bipartisan process. What cameral?
For a candidate,
you are not a Congress. You don't have a cameral.
Mr. Kennedy submitted a request that was referred over to the CPAC.
Okay, you're refusing to answer the question. Let me ask, because the failures on that day were catastrophic.
The lies. The lies the Secret Service has told have been threefold that we can name so far to the public. One, they said there was a sloped roof. We walked on the damn roof ourselves, saw a sloped roof. It's an incline that you can push a wheelchair easily up. I had a family member in a wheelchair, and for 20 years I pushed that wheelchair growing up, and I gotta tell you, I pushed up far steeper, more dangerous inclines in a wheelchair than the rooftop. And I've stood on the damn rooftop. I've stood in the pool of blood, still streaking down the roof, as a sniper. So that's lie number one. The sloped roof, very dangerous. Lie number two. Donald Trump hasn't asked for any resources. Yes, he has. We know this as a matter of fact. We have this information directly. Don't ask from who, but we have quite close connections to that campaign. Yes, they have asked for more resources. They have begged for more resources, and they have been told no every single time. Now, that's a lie. The Secret Service lied about that, okay? And now the Secret Service is lying about the sniper positions inside of the building. Well, how do we know? Because we talked with the snipers. And if we've talked with the snipers a week Plus, afterwards, they know why there was no sniper team there. Was it by design? Did they give a stand down order? There's a reason that they're trying to obfuscate all of this. There's a reason. They're covering something up. That's horrible. The media covers for these people all of the time. It's very hard to know in the media what you're reading, if it's true or not, and what bias or perspective it comes from. That's why we're proud to be partners with Ground News. This exact moment, Ted Cruz, heated exchange with Secret Service official. Ground News is a incredible app that allows you to look through the news of the day, see where it's being covered, see the biases of who's covering what, and as we all know in the news business, the actual bias comes from what we choose or choose not to cover. All right? And that's just a matter, that's the nature of the industry. You effectively, it's less about like overt lying, right? Although there's some publications that do that, of course, and we call them out. It's more about choosing what to cover and what not to cover. And so you're going to say, Benny, you've done a lot of work on this Trump assassination. Are you going to move on? No, we're not going to move on. Because the corporate press chooses not to cover it. They're now trying to hide it, right? This is why Ground News is so important. Check this out. Okay, so here's the Ted Cruz article right here. You can see who's covered it. So less than 58% of the sources that have covered this are right-leaning. That means that this has gone more viral and is being chosen to be covered more by the right. And you can see all the links here at the bottom of the page, along with the distribution, left versus right bias. Really, really helpful in a crazy, broken news environment. To go to groundnews.com, scan the QR code right here on the screen. They're offering my viewers 40% off the same Vantage plan that I use for unlimited access to all of their features. Subscribing not only supports independent news platforms like us and makes media landscape more transparent, you'll be supporting my work there as well. So again, ground.news, ground.news, not ground.com, ground.news/Benny, or scan the QR code on the screen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're rocking and we are rolling today. What an absolutely bananas day yesterday in front of Congress. Did the acting director Rowe, perjure himself before Congress? Should he be allowed to continue? Did he lie? He was shaking. He was yelling at the senators. He was claiming to be the actual victim. You'd think it was him who took the bullet on that day and not Donald Trump. But ladies and gentlemen, we have somebody who's joining the program now who would be able to properly piece all of this together. In fact, it's somebody that we have been desperate to talk to about this assassination attempt because it's a man who was in charge of Donald Trump's Department of Defense. It's a man who's been in charge of these security details and have been on the inside of these security details. And holy smokes, we've been waiting to talk to Kash Patel. And here he is. The Secret Service, Kash, they are the victims here. And remember, everybody take an offering in church this weekend for the Secret Service. They're the true victims when Trump gets shot in the head. That's what we've heard now for 2 straight hearings.
Hey, it's great to be with you. The victims are the deceased Corey Contempor. The victims are Donald Trump, who was shot. The victims are the 2 American citizens that were shot and critically injured, like President Trump was. The victims are the American people. The people who failed are individuals in Secret Service's bureaucratic empire and the halls of Congress, where they lie to the American people about how they protect presidents and senior VIP officers of the United States government. And now we are seeing another corruption cover-up scandal the size of Russiagate.
So has anybody contacted you, first off? If you don't know the lore of Kash Patel is the investigator that was able to unearth Russiagate and was able to expose it to the entire world. Presumably, they would have been somebody in the Republican Party would be calling you, right, to jump on this investigation?
Well, nobody. I've offered it to the Speaker and the majority of the House Republicans, and the only individual I've talked to about doing anything in terms of oversight is the great Congressman from Florida, Corey Mills.
So Corey Mills isn't on this little special task force that Johnson has put together that includes some people whose family members are employed at the DOJ, that include some never Trumpers, which is wild, and include a number of security state cutouts for the Republican side that we are going to be doing a little bit of exposing on our team. Why the hell wouldn't it include 82nd Airborne Division counter sniper Corey Mills, who's done this kind of work for the State Department, or Navy SEAL Team 3 counter sniper Eli Crane? This makes no sense.
It's speechless. It's basically how Washington feigns interest and oversight by citing off people in the Congress that no one really knows about. And I'm not going to knock the folks that are on this select committee. I'm going to criticize Speaker Johnson's lack of putting the right people on, as you said, in Eli Crane, in Corey Mills. I mean, a sniper shot the president of the United States. Who better to investigate that scene than Army Special Forces officer and a United States Navy SEAL who were snipers and medics in the Special Forces in theaters of war? It just boggles my mind when you have that pool of talent to go to, you specifically and intentionally avoid them, as if you almost don't want this investigation to actually get anywhere. And here's the kicker, Benny, that really ticks me off. 17 days just to stand up this task force, and the House of Representatives is currently on recess till September 9th. They're not going to get anything done.
So this is designed to fail.
It's a pretty good headline piece. Bipartisan task force stood up to find out that President Trump was shot and the Secret Service failed. And now the media is running with it, and people are doing headline calls in Congress with their hearings. But I was also critical of the hearings. What did those hearings accomplish? That we have another bureaucratic deep state operative who is the acting director of the Secret Service? Did we find out any new information? Has anyone actually been held accountable? And Congress continues to act like the redheaded stepchild of the executive branch. They are a co-equal, coordinated branch of government who controls the purse strings of every agency and department. If you don't get answers from the acting head of the United States Secret Service, then you attack his budget until you get those answers.
So let's move forward into your investigation, Kash, because it sounds like you're going to be able to sink your teeth a bit into this. Where do you begin? So let's do the Kash roadmap, because clearly you've studied this. You have an incredible pedigree yourself in protection, and there's this kick-ass photo of you walking off Marine One. Can we get that and just put it up just to get the vibe for Kash? The guy knows what he's talking about. Kash, where would you go?
So I actually wrote an op-ed on Outkick.com that you can literally read it in about 7 minutes.
Let's grab that too.
Here's the starting point, right? You get all the witnesses that were there and you put them on a list. And those are the people you're going to interrogate. Civilian, federal employees, state employees, law enforcement, transportation, everybody, comms operators, everyone. But you don't start a single interrogation under oath until you subpoena all the documents from Secret Service, FBI, DHS, and local law enforcement, to include memorandums, communications, telephone logs, emails, text messages, everything. You get it all. That's what we did during Russiagate, because interrogations are window dressings, like they have been so far in Congress, unless you get the underlying information to go after and seek out the truth. And then you take that documentation and you show it to the American public as it comes in. The Secret Service director and the acting Secret Service director lied under oath when they said Donald Trump's security detail did not request additional services. I told you on your show, maybe the day or two after, that I knew that for a fact they had done that multiple times. And yesterday we had another acting Secret Service director lie. You show the American people these lies. You don't yell about them from the halls of Congress. You take the evidence and you show them.
So will you have the power to get those documents? Can you, because we've worked very closely with Corey Mills. We're doing a documentary with Mills and Eli Crane, because I thought there's a no-brainer, right? These are the two guys you've got to have on the committee. If Adam Schiff's going to sit on every Democrat committee, right, for his hatred of Donald Trump and for his media prowess and all that, there's a lot of reasons to put a member on a committee. Surely you'd have these two guys. So we're in the middle of creating a documentary with them right now, and it blows my mind. So now Corey's doing his own thing, which is awesome, and we fully support it. Do you have the power to get what you need, Kash, on that?
Well, without congressional subpoena power and the enforcement of congressional subpoenas, it's going to be a tough task. And look, I've offered my services for free to anyone in Congress, to Corey Mills, to Eli Crane, anybody that wants to attempt to get the truth. What you have is the will of the American people to find out what happened in the assassination attempt of a president of the United States running for the presidency again. That willpower should be enough to muster enough energy on the Hill to get the answers you want. But even Corey Mills and Eli Crane are going to have to go to Speaker Johnson to get authorities to utilize subpoenas. So I don't know how that's going to shake out, but the reality is, Benny, what's this committee done besides been announced? 19 days after President Trump's assassination attempt. Who's coming back from summer recess in Europe and wherever they are on their junkets for the summer to start this investigation? They're going to come back and they're going to write a letter and say, please respond, Secret Service man, in 4 weeks' time once you have counsel. And then 4 weeks from September 9th is October 9th. And then 3 weeks after that is the election. They're going to run out the clock like the agencies and departments always do. And I just don't understand how the Republican majority in the House of Representatives allows this corruption cover-up scandal to go on like this. It is one of the most infuriating things. And as I wrote in my op-ed, this is a unique opportunity to unify the country with the truth, to unify the country to ensure them that no president will ever be shot again, to unify the country that our protectees of the Secret Service, our senior VIPs in government will be clear from harm's way. It is a unique opportunity of unity, and we are letting it slip through our fingers.
Wow. Yeah. And seemingly doing exactly what would play into the hand of the left, which is to let this slip from the headlines and for everybody to then move on to the anointing of Kamala. And that this is a playbook, because this is something that's like, well, I mean, to paraphrase Mark Zuckerberg of all people, one of the most badass things that ever happened in American politics. And yet we're letting it all slip from the headlines. We're letting Google and Facebook censor it. It's just bananas, man. Speaking of being like insanely professionally right, you were live with us when we talked about COVID and Biden getting it. And you said, get ready. This is it. This is the end. They're going to play him out. And bro, we've played that clip time and time again. You were so right.
I mean, sometimes I wish I was wrong a lot, because then we would not be talking about corruption cover-up scandals. We would not be talking about how the Democratic Party hijacked the democratic process to kick out the presidential nominee from their party and airdrop in someone by throwing out 12 million votes of American citizens who voted for the nominee. I mean, it's just incredible hypocrisy, breaking of rules, breaking of laws, just so the politicization of this country can be totally complete, from every agency and department of the United States government to the entire democratic operating regime. And if American people don't see that now, and Congress doesn't act when they have the opportunities to, they're going to steamroll Washington, D.C. into a new form of the swamp.
Do you believe that Kamala Harris is going to become president before even November? Do you think that because you were right about this? Let's load up this clip. Actually, we have the clip of you predicting this. This was when you and I both found out live that Joe Biden had COVID, right? And that, of course, began the steep acceleration of the mysterious Joe Biden drops out. Do you believe that Joe Biden will resign totally the office and they'll just anoint Kamala queen?
Well, I think from memory, I said, yes, he will basically end up pardoning and commuting his entire family. Joe Biden's brother, Joe Biden's children, Hunter Biden, everyone in the Biden empire that is currently being and has been investigated. And once he hands down those pardons, that will be the trade-off where he bows out at the end. So Kamala Harris can have the title of President of the United States while running for the presidency of the United States. It also creates a whole new constitutional question of how many times she can run. Now, look, I believe Donald Trump's going to defeat her resoundingly with his Agenda 47 that he's laid out this time around, but we will have new political fodder to discuss once that scenario plays out.
Man, okay, for those of you who regularly watch the show, you saw this live. For those of you who've seen the show since we were at the RNC, you've seen Kash predict again and again and again exactly what was about to happen. An amazing moment, and something that does happen on this program regularly. Kash Patel predicts the future. Here's just another chapter in that wonderful book. Here we go.
See, Kash, this is why we love you so much, and this is why the audience just adores you.
I just made it up.
Well, you just brought us there, right?
Yeah.
That's such a great point. So is this going to be the medical emergency? He had a flu, now he has COVID, and then next he's going to have some sort of malfunction, and then he's going to pardon his son. He's going to pardon his brother. He's going to pardon himself, because remember, presidential pardons aren't just good for retroactive criminal investigations. Presidential pardons are good for prospective criminal investigations. So you can basically give yourself carte blanche for your entire family so that you can never be prosecuted, your family can never be prosecuted for any investigation the president determines in that pardon.
So very rare producer L. That's actually not the exact moment. That's actually not very rare producer L on this program. It's actually not the exact moment when you made the prediction. Hold on. This is not a long clip. Let's play the actual prediction. Here we go. Rock it. Go.
All right, we have breaking news. Joe Biden has tested positive for COVID, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Biden has tested positive for the virus that Dr. Fauci created. So blame Dr. Fauci. There it is. That's the breaking news. Well, it's the setup. We saw it. The Biden administration just put out before this positive test that if he were to have a medical incident, he would consider opting out of the race. They are working to take him out. COVID is step one, and then they're going to have step two.
Wow. There it is, man. If hope maybe you can manage my stock portfolio, Cash. That's what you.
We got to get Nancy Pelosi to do that. She's better.
That's right. That's right. So, final question, really quickly, Cash. What happens through November? You do believe that Joe Biden's not going to make it through November? It's going to be Kamala, that she's going to be installed?
I think in some fashion she'll be installed, and I think it'll just be basically rearranging of the deck chairs for the Democratic Party. They've already thought this thing through into its entirety, to its conclusion, and they will see a more powerful candidate from their perspective if they can give her the title as President of the United States. It's politically catchy.
Megan Thee Stallion, not doing it for you, huh? Megan Thee Stallion last night in Atlanta, Cash didn't.
Oh no, sorry.
Didn't move you. Didn't convince you.
I thought you were reading something. Sorry.
Yeah.
My allergies are killing me today. I can barely hear.
I wasn't familiar with Thee Stallion until I saw all the clips in my feed, and now I'm very sad that I am familiar with it. Kash Patel, thank you so very much for your honest and true predictions on this program. Government Gangsters is your new documentary. It is in theaters right now. Also, a incredible film at warroom.film. Can you tell everybody again about it?
Yeah, real quick. Look, this is what what President Trump rolled out as the blueprint for 2024 and the roadmap to taking out the deep state. It's everything we've been talking about. And Steve Bannon turned it to the #1 documentary of the last 3 years. Go to warroom.film and watch it right now from your home. We're bringing premieres to every state across this country over the next couple of months, but go to warroom.film. President Trump just rolled out the movie on Truth Social yesterday. I'm very proud of this work. Expose the deep state. You'll have a fun time watching it. You can make fun of me after.
Cash, let's have a watch party in the studio, man. Thank you. Godspeed.
See you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, if we're going to spend an entire show talking about the Senate committee that questioned the acting director of the Secret Service yesterday, we got to invite on a senator from that committee that actually got a chance to question the acting director's Secret Service row. And that senator is Senator Roger Marshall of Kansas. The great senator joins us now. Senator, how are you?
But it's great to be with you. Fireworks going off here on Capitol Hill. Peg is exploding in the Middle East. If ever we needed a strong leader in the White House, it's right now. Joe Biden continues to give us war through weakness. And of course, Kamala is right there beside him, undercutting Prime Minister Netanyahu. So it's troubled times right now. I'm very fearful for our national security in this country.
Typically, Senator, we have to look abroad to see insane assassination attempts and people dying at political rallies. But now we just look internally and see in Butler, Pennsylvania, something that was a millimeter away from killing President Trump. Yet yesterday on the committee dais, acting director of the Secret Service claimed he was the victim and that his department was being persecuted for their failures. Your response to that?
Well, This is why I'm saying we need some type of a crisis management team to come in there. America doesn't trust the FBI. We have no faith in the Secret Service. But I think it's important. This is all people want to talk about when I go back home is what went wrong there. If Americans feel like if the Secret Service can't protect President Trump, they ask, is my family safe? And why would they feel safe right now? We have an open border. Kamala Harris is overseeing to open the door for 11 million illegal immigrants to come in this country. She's been proposing a proponent of cashless bail, of defund the police for decades now. So they're scared to death right now for their own safety of their family. And the thoughts of Kamala Harris now being the leader for the Democrat Party has them even more scared.
So you are calling for an independent commission to investigate Trump. Would this be made up of senators? Would it be similar to the task force in the House?
Yeah, no, I want it to be apolitical, more of a 9/11 style commission. Kash Patel, your previous guest, I think people like him, experts in the field. Look, senators don't have the time, Congress members, to devote to this because we need an answer yesterday. It needs to be some type of an independent commission, people that are experts, hopefully people that have very little political bias, and then get to a conclusion. But I don't need to wait for that findings to understand that we have a crisis right now in the Secret Service, and their current administrator is so biased. He's so much trying to protect everybody there, including himself. CYA, if you want to call it that. That's why we need the White House to right now to implement some type of a crisis management team to come in there. Again, Kash Patel would be good at that. Mike Pompeo, someone who's going to go in there and clean house, turn that place upside down, and make sure that we execute a very simple plan.
Yeah, so you don't seem satisfied with the testimony that you heard yesterday from the FBI or the Secret Service?
Not at all. Again, there were certainly individual failures, but the bigger concern is the systemic failures that we saw. So a couple questions I asked, I didn't get solid questions. How does the Secret Service determine the perimeter, that this security perimeter? There were 10 buildings within 500 yards of President Trump with a direct line of sight. I'm not a security expert, but you would think that all 10 of those buildings would be inside the security perimeter. None of them were. When I asked the administrator, how do you determine who gets more Secret Service agents on a different day? And basically the answers to all this was, well, we form a committee, we pray about it, and we think about it, we talk about it. So that really bothers me that there's not, some type of a metric that says, okay, Donald Trump, he's going to be outside, 40,000 people, a high exposure situation here, 10 buildings, trees that your people are seeing right now, our listeners are watching as well. That look, this was a high security challenge for anybody, even if they had 100 Secret Service agents. Meanwhile, on the same day, you have Jill Biden in Vegas demanding more agents as well. So how do you determine where you're going to surge the people to? There's 8,000 Secret Service agents, about 33 locations, and you need to surge people. And again, I shouldn't be figuring that out. You need someone, the captain of the ship, that figures that out, that knows a lot more than I do. But there seems to be no protocol for making those decisions.
Yeah, at the very least, we've seen multiple verifiable and demonstrable lies from the Secret Service, including but not limited to the sloped roofs, the denial of Trump requests for more resources, and then saying that they just don't know what the counter sniper team was doing in the building. We went to Butler, Pennsylvania. We talked with the snipers ourselves. We knew exactly what they were doing. There was a stand down order. They left their post and leaving the building. Unsecured at the exact moment when the shooter crawled across the rooftop, and they would be the only people with the direct shot. And so these are lies. Do you believe that the acting director perjured himself before your committee?
Of course, that's a strong statement. I don't know whether he's dumb or certainly there's a lot of facts that are inconsistent with what people on the ground are telling us, local law enforcement. So I hate to rush to judgment. We've asked to talk to those local law enforcement people, but I think a great example of what you're describing is I asked him, is it a requirement that the Secret Service have a briefing with local law enforcement the day of the event? He wouldn't answer that question. And I said, well, did that occur that day or not? And at the part of the sentence, he said no. And then later he said yes. And he vacillated back and forth. And then he pointed the finger at the local police. So as you know, the local police officer said, we never had that briefing. And I said, well, don't you document these meetings? Isn't there a drawing that you have that would show where the perimeter is, where your agents are stationed, and where the local police are stationed? Don't you think you'd sit down with a briefing? This is Donald Trump, former president of the United States, the leading Republican candidate, 40,000 people. There's no way you can control every point, but let's maximize our protection. Don't you think there'd be some documents that you could show us? Don't you think there was a recording? Show me your calendar. 8 a.m. in Butler, Pennsylvania, Secret Service met with law enforcement. And this was who was invited to the meeting. Those pieces, it shouldn't take 17 days to be able to show me that you were doing your job.
Thank you, Senator, for reminding me of that, because this is in direct conflict with the local law enforcement. And who has the motivation to lie here, right? Is it the local SWAT team? Are they the ones lying about a meeting with the Secret Service? Of course not.
Yeah. It is just a sad, sad day. My dad was a police officer, chief of police for 25 years. He served the military. My brother, I served. My son is serving now. And I tend to jump to solutions. Most people are focusing on the blame game. Look, the Secret Service has a huge cultural problem. My guess is they have too many officers and not enough enlisted people in there. I think they need a sergeant major, some command sergeants in charge of each one of these days. I think we need former agents, former people that have been in special ops out there hunting for bad guys. And I understand, the focus right now is how do you protect the president, but we actually need people that are better, that are experts at this out there. I guarantee you there's bad guys in every one of these big events like that. I think that we're functioning on 100-year-old technology, 100-year-old policies. I'm telling you, this place needs to be blown up and start all over. Think about this, 48%, there's been a turnover of 48% of the people within the Secret Service agency. 48% of them left in 1 year's time. Barely half of the people in the Secret Service respect and trust their superior officers. There's a huge cultural problem right there within the Secret Service. I think it has a lot to do with the DEI hires. Again, they need a crisis management team to come in there and turn that place upside down.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling to see some of the new footage that the FBI is putting out of the police officers surrounding the building before any shot rang out. And you just had local state police officers with no communication with the Secret Service. They had the guy surrounded. The guy should have never been. They had a sniper nest looking right at the guy. Yeah. It begs the question, like, at what point does gross negligence just indistinguishable from malevolence? At what point is the stupidity of this plan that would allow this guy to do this? Do they want something to happen, or is something bound to happen because of the stupidity? Really quickly here, I know you're very close friends with President Trump. It does seem, and here's the footage that's just shocking that just was released within the last 24 hours, where you could see the officers surrounding the building, and nobody does anything. We hear that President Trump is having a tough time getting his security up to snuff. There's many people telling our show that they're engaging, and there hasn't been any changes. You're a senator. You can effectuate change. You have oversight of the executive and DHS. Have you spoken with the campaign or talked with anybody about this?
Nothing firsthand, so I'm going to be hesitant to push on that too much. But we'll do some looking into it and try to find out what we can. It is harder than you think, though, to move these agencies. President Trump talks about the swamp up here, whether it's an issue with the FDA or the EPA and now the Secret Service. They're all pretty siloed, and they seem to be very far off. And all we can do is try to cut some of the funding for them. And of course, at the same time, they're saying they need more funding. So I think we'll have to go down that a little bit further. I do want to accentuate your point on negligence, on gross negligence. I'm a physician. Every C-section I do, I'm an obstetrician, had to be perfect. And this sounds like gross negligence to me. How did this person, he jumps up on an air conditioning unit, jumps up on a building, and then jumps from 4 different buildings to finally get to the point where he's shooting? And I think that probably takes 3 or 4 minutes. How do you not have a line of sight on those buildings to be able to capture that type of movement on a person with a backpack, someone whose picture's already been taken, it's in circulation. Why wasn't there a Secret Service agent on top of the water tower that had a clearer view of this? Why wasn't there a drone in the sky? I think you're spot on when it comes to gross negligence.
Yeah, indistinguishable from malevolence. You really don't have to be a mind reader or know someone's heart, right? Be telekinetic. You don't have to do that. Yep. You just have to see the failure of the plan, and eventually someone's going to get hurt in any industry, anywhere, if you have enough stupid people doing stupid things. So, yeah, as a physician, you certainly know that. Everybody needs to go and follow the good doctor, who's doing a spectacular job in the Senate. Tough body to work for, but man, the guy's got a perfect Twitter cover image right there. That's just great, Senator.
Fight, everybody. That's what we're doing. All Americans, all the patriots need to be standing up right now and fighting to defend this republic.
Yeah. Godspeed, Senator. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, baby. Man, we are rocking and we are rolling today. There's a lot of news. There's a lot happening, and we're going to be there for you. We're talking internally about taking coverage of these Trump rallies live and maybe doing more of that as we roll past the 100 days away from the November election. I want to advise you, obviously, to not be fearful or scared of the manufactured cotton candy hype around Kamala Harris. This is somebody that the media despised and no Democrat voter voted for. And so you're going to get the lemmings and the morons and the smooth brains. But the American people actually understand what's at stake, and I truly believe that. I can prove it for you. In fact, we have been forced to watch Kamala Harris rallies now, and there was a Kamala Harris rally last night. Part of the reason why we have the energy to sit through this excruciating cringe fest is our friends at Blackout Coffee, who keep our cups filled. Unfortunately, and empty and completely empty here. This is like my third of the day. My little, what do I get? Well, we got our Trump Doral cup there. We got our Trump cup and our Blackout Coffee, man. You can't do better than Blackout Coffee. They go with it. They literally travel with us. We brought bags of it to the RNC, made our own coffee, made sure that we were properly caffeinated. That is what we use on this program to keep going. We've got a crazy news environment, and it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse for the next 100 days. And so stick with us and stick with Blackout Coffee. They are American, they are conservative, they are Christian, and they are 100% on your side and your values. 0% grift. Ladies and gentlemen, blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Use the coupon code Benny for 20% off your first order. blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Be awake, not woke. Man, I love that. Be awake, not woke. You can also find them on Public Square. So we have some crazy. So we have Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris has and everybody says her name differently. So I think I'm going to go with Camilla on this program. I think I'm going to go with Camilla. I've heard it pronounced 5 different ways, so we're going to go with Camilla. So Camilla had a event yesterday in Atlanta. Now, what? Producer Alex is saying he likes Carmella. We've heard it many different ways. You know, her old boyfriend Montel Williams said it a different way. We never know, right? Willie Brown said it different ways. You just don't know. So Camilla, we're gonna go with Camilla for right now. Did the cringe, did like the common cringe thing that libs do, where when speaking to, let's just call them certain audiences, often in the South, in large metropolitan areas, they use a fake accent. It's so degrading. Do we have Hillary Clinton doing this? We got to get Hillary Clinton doing this. Hillary Clinton is in the famous, I ain't no ways tired. I've come too far. Like Make-A-Wish Foundation, Hillary Clinton. Ain't no ways tired. I want to show you like the granddaddy of them all, and then I'm going to show you the Kamala Harris Hillary Clinton impression. When this Kamala Harris, who's born in California to 2 doctors, and then was raised in Quebec, Canada, and then how she suddenly becomes like a character out of Gone with the Wind when she goes south of the Mason-Dixon line. Okay, first off the OG. Here we go. Good old Hillary. Let's go.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
I have a lot of faith in humanity. I'm a Christian, right? I believe God created all of us and that God has a plan. But imagine being a person sitting there and applauding for that, right? Like a seal at SeaWorld, about to get a bucket of chum. I come to her. All right, here we go. Here's Kamala Harris from yesterday doing. Let's just do big fat cringe alert. Let's do big fat cringe alert on both of these. Let's play these clips back to get back here. Here's Kamala Harris, brand spanking new accent, straight from the girl who was raised in Quebec. Go.
Donald Trump, on the other hand, has been talking a big game about securing our border, but he does not walk the walk. Or as my friend Quavo would say, he does not walk it like he talks it. And you all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024. Yes, we will. Yes.
Also, she's in Fulton County, which is actually like provable, gross levels of criminal fraud in like the county that she happens to be talking in. So there's just no irony here for Kamala Harris, who suddenly, as soon as she crosses the Mason-Dixon line, becomes Foghorn Leghorn. Oh, hey, you little chicken hawk. We're in 2024. Gone down. Ain't gone down. It's amazing. It's incredible. It's incredible what happens. You can go to the Hillary Clinton School of pandering to Southern black people. It is so degrading, actually. I mean, it really is. It's on its prima facie, it's just degrading. Imagine if I go and I do I give speeches, right? And you go and you do talks and speeches, and there are like certain audiences that I like change my voice for. Like I changed my voice because I thought the audience like needed a different version of me, or a dumber version of me, or a more yokel version of me. Like, what does it say about me? What does that say about my opinion of you, more importantly? Or what does that mean that I think about you? Me, person raised in, Kamala Harris, raised in Quebec. Go Camilla, raised in Canada. Suddenly a Gone with the Wind caricature as soon as she goes to Atlanta. Pretty embarrassing. Kamala Harris staffers now beginning to pop up and say that there are some pretty bad things happening inside of her office. Kamala Harris employees flee in droves as ex-staff cite toxic workplace. Two very toxic people in the executive offices. We've talked at length about how Joe Biden and all Joe Biden's dogs all like have to be put down or attack people. That's a reflection of who Joe Biden is. Joe Biden's kids are all junkies and druggies and garbage humans, and that's a reflection of Joe Biden. Sorry, parents, we will judge you. You will be judged by your children. This is important. It's your charge to raise up your children. It's biblical, and the animals are also a reflection of the master. It's just how it works. And Kamala Harris is toxic, vicious leader, and apparently there was 92% staff turnover in her office. Go.
Great leaders ignite a spark inside their staff. It's why Primetime's movement's so strong. The key is to challenge your employees without belittling them. You give them a purpose, create an environment where people want to show up for work. So when we learned that 92% of Kamala's staff quit, it raised red flags. How could she lead millions of Americans if she can't even lead 50? Gil Duran, who worked for Kamala when she was Attorney General of California, said the experience was unbearable. She was, quote, impossible to manage and took out all of her stress on her staff, usually women and lower-level employees. Gil quit just 5 months into the job. Last straw, Kamala skipped out on a briefing and went berserk on a staff member to the point of tears because she was unprepared. And that tracks with what an unnamed White House staffer told the author, Chris Whipple, in his book, The Fight of His Life. They told him Kamala, quote, refused to do the kind of preparation that you need to do before going public on a hardcore policy matter. And then she became incensed and outraged when things wouldn't go the way she thought they were supposed to go. Even the interns weren't safe from Kamala's ire. Terry McKeeter, whose son spent months in Kamala's Attorney General's office, said she turned his kid's internship into a summer from hell. He says the interns were told to stand and say, "Good morning, General," when Kamala walked into the room.
Good morning, General. Good morning, General. Which accent do you want to use today? What skin color of people are you talking with will determine the accent you should use. Good morning, General. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? I'm not going to tell you the niceties that our team greets each other with in the morning, but yeah, let's just say we have a ball breaking team around here. Okay, a ball breaking team. The memes are slung. And they are straight hot fire. People don't take themselves too seriously around here. And ain't nobody saluting any generals. Let me tell you what. People get wrecked at this company. It's fun, right? It's like, that's how you know you like someone. That's how you know you're actually like friends with them, right? And you're breaking their balls. It's like 101. Not when you're sitting there demanding everyone stand at attention, salute you. It's crazy. This is crazy. Yes. Jeez. As the victim of many of the humiliating memes, and we post them. I mean, they're great. Boy, I tell you what, I just can't. You just can't imagine. But it's not good, right? It's clearly not good. It's not human. It's not natural. And this is the way that we should view this fake candidacy, because nobody's voted for her. She hasn't gotten a single vote. And last time she ran for president in 2020, she didn't get even the votes of her home state of California. She came in 5th, not a single delegate at the DNC convention. And she got, in the entire primary process, 800 votes out of 15 million cast, which means she got less than 1% of 1% of all Democrat votes. This is a deeply unpopular person that is being totally hot air balloon filled by the corporate press. They're going to shove her down our throats in a crazy role reversal. And so you just be prepared, right? Be prepared. It's going to flame out and you're going to see everything. You're going to see all these scary headlines. Nope. Heads down. All right. Get to the polls, chase ballots, chase votes, put in the work. All right. Media hype can only get you so far. Final thing I'll say on this, because we haven't really gotten a chance to talk. We've been talking so much about the assassination attempt that we just haven't really talked about Kamala. And they've kept her away from the press. They've kept her away from the media, letting the media do their job without any access to her. That's the Biden, it's the Biden playbook. They're going to do the exact same thing. All right. The same thing. Different reasons, because she's so incredibly unlikable and dumb, but the same result, hopefully, right? Which is that they can manufacture people's opinions. It's not going to work, and we know why, ladies and gentlemen. The reason why this isn't going to work is because we're in a very, very different place. We have been locked in and understanding like what's truly at stake here, and most importantly, people are awake, man. I feel that. You can feel the spiritual energy. The people are awake. There are incredible results of the Arizona primaries yesterday. You're starting to see like huge wins across the board. And if you put your head down and you actually do the work, then you win. Most importantly, God is in control, right? So that's like the thing that you have to like take a step back, like look in the mirror every morning and say, God's in control. This is something that I practice day in and day out, and it keeps us going. Ladies and gentlemen, you keep us going. Please join the Benny Brigade if you can. The Benny Brigade is your direct way to support our programming here. $5 a month, and it helps fund our team, our investigations, and us going live every hour of the day to make sure that you are informed and can get your news from truly independent media. Ain't got no corporate strings to hold us down. We can do our shows. We can bring on our guests. We can ask our questions and also ask your questions. So, ladies and gentlemen, sign up for the Benny Brigade today. Go to BennyJohnson.com. You can also submit questions for the Benny Ask Benny Anything segment on Fridays, along with questions for our guests. And then we will ship you, upon signing up, our Benny Brigade keychain, customized and made right here in America by American veterans with American leather. So, God bless you. Thank you so much. Our verse of the day from Psalms 94. Come on, I love a good psalm. The wicked band together against the righteous and condemn the innocent to death. But the Lord has become my fortress, my God, my rock, in whom I take refuge. The wicked have been banded together. Yes, that is exactly what you're seeing right now. All right? You're seeing all these calls for Kamala. The wicked have banded together against the righteous, put a bullet in President Trump's ear. But the Lord has become my fortress and my God and my rock, in whom I take refuge. Make sure that God is your fortress. It's really not like a question of political parties or Trump or anything, right? It's like all of that stuff goes away. Like, make sure God is actually your fortress in this life. Everything else will let you down. All of it will let you down horribly, okay? So make sure that your Savior is the Savior. The end, right? And then march with us, because we're happy warriors, because the victory is assured, and so you can't touch us. It's great. Ladies and gentlemen, march with us in the Benny Brigade. The salt must flow. It's your boy Benny. See ya.
The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest kings, and their dying legacy, media deal weeds. Soon will the Benny Show come to mind. The salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for #1.